Hello there folks, Steve here. Yeah, I'm going to do something I don't normally do much really, and that's a direct response to a couple of comments from the last video. Been pondering for a while. The last video I put out something about the interpreting the unspoken laws of the highest authority. Quite a complex subject, complex issue, complex topic, and I'm not really the best one at interpreting the topic, but it's an attempt worth. It's a very deep topic. Basically the idea that I was addressing is that government plays God, and so for those who are atheist or religious or whatever, the government is kind of usurping that throne. So the government itself, is constitutions and stuff, and oaths of office and that are based on the Bible, as far as I know it, or based on the word God. So that leads us to the Bible and its interaction with law and with legality, with legislation. Legislation and law are kind of two different fields of the same thing. But we get tricked into believing one is the other and the other's one. So, government stands there with its legislation, pretending, or it's kind of portraying itself as a god, And obviously there's natural laws and laws that come within the realm of a true God or creator, in that sense, creator. So my question was really about creators rather than gods. It's not a theistic question really, rather than an authoritarian, or it's a hierarchical structure question. Who has authority over me? If the creator is the highest authority, and because I wasn't created by the government, then my creator has more authority than the government, sort of thing. So the comments, two comments came in. The first is formulated as a question really. You have faith in man's good nature? Hear me out. Did Jesus master Satanism? Now, I had a bit of difficulty with the question. Usually the question's either rhetorical or needs an answer. And even if I could answer the question, it would go two ways, and is the answer useful? Have I got faith in man-God's nature? Well, to be honest, not really. That's why I'm making videos. I think, if we can up the probability, there's hope. I do have faith, although, in the nature in the spirit of man, and to find the wisdom to discern between true good and true evil. So the question of Jesus is connected with that, with the hear me out thing, which I spent a good 3 days thinking about this. Did Jesus master Satanism? I mean, it needs interpreting, but I mean, Satanism, I'd say it's really the adversary, the one that goes against. So if one has the wisdom, if one has the wisdom to know when to not take the power into your own hands, that's the point where probably you mastered it. Is to know that you can't master something, is to master it and to reject it. And after all, Satanism is a concept of reversal. So any wise man should be able to then be an adversary, an equal adversary, just by simply reversing the wisdoms, turning life into evil, just reversing that what's good knowingly, and so any wise man would know that that's detrimental to life in the end. A man has tricked himself into leaving the path of wisdom, really, and will trick himself back onto that path. That's what I can say at this point about Satan. The idea as an adversary. I mean, Jesus called himself the morning star, or it was described as the morning star, I think, somewhere. Morning star is also Lucifer. And I think, when you follow a bright light, if you used to follow, the morning star, it obviously disappears into the afternoon. So then you have to follow the daylight after that, signifying that, Lucifer is obviously an illusion of light, and you have to look through your own eyes. It's about not deceiving yourself, I think. This is just what I'm interpreting into it. So there's Lucifer, and then there's crucifer, somebody who bears a cross. Lucifer is he who bears light, and crucifer is he who bears a cross. So, these are significant points, that the cross we bear, is it just that cross of the authority, of the false authority on our back? This legal straw man that we're always attached to, as a burden. The absence of knowledge. This. Rather than the tree of life. And we carry it on our back because we turned away from ourselves. We turned traitor to ourselves and God, or Creator, if you like. These are the concepts. So, did Jesus master Satanism? Well, Satanism, with the ism, is a kind of belief. But I would say, if you was to interpret it into modern day times, I don't know whether people are getting wiser or not, but in certain ways, there's definitely changes. The other comments I got could even possibly answer the first, but at first I had to think about that comment as well. So, great comments, really, like little parables in themselves. To put God first in your life is to put yourself second. It takes away your free will and clarity to reason. Okay, so to put God first in your life is to put yourself second. I found that interesting, to put God first in your life, in your own life. Because you could probably put God first in other people's lives, if they're sleeping or if they're unaware, then you could presume them to still have, to still be in contact or whatever. So it's about yourself, to put God first in your own life is to put yourself second. And really, if you to think that God created us, or the Creator, God, whatever you want to call it, created us in our own image, then, and wanted us to think like Him and that, then we possess a certain quality of God. And I think this is what the Jesus metaphor is about, is the Son of God is also God. But there's suddenly this Trinity within each of us. And I think we can all relate to that battle within us. There's a lot of battles, and it's not just the battle between good and evil. It's the battle between, that what I feel is right, and that what I feel is right for the future, and for everybody else, and also right for the past. Maybe the Trinity. So that Trinity is obviously it has to be an equal, and to put one of those parts of the Trinity first or last, I guess, would be to create that imbalance. That was a thing that happened. The parts in the Bible about Abraham, father of Isaac, and Isaac was father of Jacob. And when God, God, I think, depending on what you call it, in which Bible and stuff, when God said to Abraham, I think, burn Isaac, then Abraham listened to him and went to do it, and Isaac accepted to be burned, sort of thing, and so it was obvious that these people who had blind faith, Abraham, as good as he was in his heart and everything, and as good as Isaac was in his heart, is to have that kind of blind faith to either kill or be killed at the command of God. It needs to be more thought over. So that's where the Jacob idea comes in, to actually question, that we actually even question God and struggle and wrestle with that idea of our own Creator. Not just to take what the authorities give to us, but to actually wrestle with it. And that's the the wrestling that happens with the Jacob's ladder and everything. So yeah, I mean, you know, you can go into a great deal with these biblical things. There's so many different layers that you can actually read into these stories, and they're also mathematically pretty laid out. So there's a lot of kind of, it's like a tree-like structure within the books about how authority is distributed and how relationships between characters and the way that they've used free will. So there it says, yeah, to put God first is like to put yourself second. It takes away your free will and ability to reason. I mean, if he was to say that you are the Trinity, then anything that takes you away from that, you know, you have the free will to turn traitor on yourself is about the most free will you have, you know. Because the idea that you are given free will by anybody else or anything else is a misnomer, a misunderstanding. But if you was to say that you grant yourself free will to either listen to yourself or ignore yourself, that's the kind of free will that we have, you know. I'm bound to myself, and every time I don't listen to myself, then it usually, unless that person, you know, most often other people are also on, you know, on the good thing, so I can put trust in other people. But at times where you know you can't trust the other person maybe, or you have doubt in another person, and you listen to them, and you don't listen to yourself, that's where that's where you're using your free will. You know, if you're using just your normal will, just following yourself, you know, then that's not where that's like coming back. But then obviously, is it Satan, you know, or is it God that you're listening to? Sort of question philosophically in law as well, you know. The free will and ability to reason, I mean, the free will gives us the ability to learn, and that learning process gives us the wisdom and the ability to reason, to see patterns emerge, and that wisdom will, like, then the path opens up and the doors and keys are revealed to us. And it's amazing, really, if you think about how maybe if you live in a place where you're familiar and you walk around the place, the woods and the cities, and you know it like the back of your hand, you know everything, you can remember everything and explain it. And then one day you decide to go to a part where you're not quite so familiar. Maybe you went as a child or something and you're there, and then suddenly you realise you're lost. And nothing is familiar. Everything is unknown. Everything is suddenly a mystery, kind of scary. Everything seems ominous. And so you walk around and it gets a little bit more intimidating to not know where you are. So you walk around and walk around. Maybe you even get more anxious, and then finally you suddenly notice a landmark or something that you recognise. Yeah, I know where I am. And then everything you look at suddenly changes. It's like a different perspective. You suddenly feel at home again, whereas before there were kind of faces in the trees and dangers everywhere. And it's those different realms of reason, you know, when we can see, then we make different decisions and things appear to us differently. And most of the things that we perceive as evil in the world are not really evil. They're just jokes, bad jokes, educational jokes, a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of hurtfulness being transformed. But true evil isn't a force that was created, you know, good was created. Well, this is what I've always believed. I'm not actually a Bible follower at all. I don't really, you know, but it really interests me as a great work. It's just not, I read a lot of other books, and it's something I'm coming to at the moment and interpreting. Mainly to try and solve the problems around, you know, to try and solve the problems in my own head at least, why things are like they are in the world, around the world. And of course the Bible is one of those books that has been translated and debated and argued upon for long years. But I think it's very important to back that book up with some other types of research, you know, to do with the actual theological side of it, and not the metaphysical sort of spirit, you know, supernatural side of it. I think as soon as we turn it into a historic thing, and start asking what did Jesus do or whatever. There's a danger that we apply this all to the past or to a particular event, when the book is there for some kind of reason, the same as that any books are there for some kind of reason, for inspiration. There's a lot of wisdom in there, and all different kinds of work. It wasn't just written by one scholar. So there's a lot to be gained from it, and so if you pick up a book and read it yourself, then you can guarantee that nobody else will read it the way you read it. And if you find somebody who's read it like you, they probably won't be able to put it in any other better words than it's already written. Because a lot of the things that we try to explain in philosophy and within reason can only be explained by kind of walking around them. It's like the crown effect. You walk around and round and round the answer and keep spinning it until the axis is visible, the centre of the circle. But until that thing spins round, the axis isn't visible. It's obviously the centre of a circle is invisible. So that's the answer is kind of in the middle of that circle, and you have to kind of walk around it to see it from different sides. And probably the moment where you see it from a different side, it's the moment where you can maybe lost, and you need to use then reason and wisdom and stuff, and I think then the light and the truth appear. Transmitting it over videos like this is very difficult. But I like to try anyway, so if I get any, I know some of the things I talk about are mega complex. I'm not saying I'm a mega intelligent person, but I mean the concept itself is complex, and I have a big difficulty trying to translate what I'm trying to add to interpret or whatever into the modern times. Yeah, so I'll leave it there anyway. That's long enough for a video. I'll see you later. Let me know what you think in the comments box. And yeah, sorry for being a bit slow with me interactivity, but things are moving around. Have a good time. See you later. Cheerio.